Thank you, Mary. Women in advocacy and mentoring of women leaders still believe in empowering more for enhanced equity in communities. Speaking to UBC, Emma Lugujo, who is a woman professional, said it is mentoring and supporting upcoming women that will make change to the country. She was commenting on a cross-section of women issues in Uganda ahead of the International Women's Day celebration set for tomorrow in Kilhura district. Sarah Natoro has that story.
Malugujo, a woman professional who has worked for over 40 years, gives her testimony.
I started off early 70s with Kolo Senior Secondary School. I taught there for 10 years. First as a classroom teacher, then became deputy. Then in 1984, went to Makere College School, taught there for another 10 years. In 1993, my former teachers, Mrs. Wambuzi and Mrs. Mdowe, who taught me in Budo Junior School, invited me to start Green Hill Academy. So I joined them, worked there for 14 years, and then I retired. Kinarwa and her friend invited me to help them start Forest Hill College in Namaojolo. So I went, worked there for about 4 years. I've taught for about 44 years.
Lugujo has nurtured and mentored a number of prominent people.
Minister of State, Mr. Muyingo, that was Kololo Secondary School. Bishop of Namirembe, Bishop Luwalira, also came and said, you see, you taught me in Kololo Senior Secondary School. There are so many I meet on the street. Some of them I don't remember their faces very well, because God gave us that gift of looking after others. I would advise the ladies to encourage their children to take up teaching. Currently, they are looking for people to take up positions in universities. Let them encourage their children to do sciences. They are on demand.
She cited challenges of being a working woman and a mother.
To start new schools, that's a big challenge. There are so many things that you face. Registering of the school, making sure that you put in place all the demands the ministry needs. One of the challenges which stuck on my head is when one gentleman, when we are asking for increment in salary, he said, you as a woman, you don't need an increment. So I had to tell him that, sir, when we come here and we are given duties to execute, there is no difference. We all do our duties as teachers or administrators equally. Taking care of children, teenagers, is not easy. At times you have to be very tough to see that you drive your point through. Children are children, they are very challenging. One time I had to go into a teacher's class, and when he saw me entering, he said, you are not supposed. I told him, I'm coming to attend your lesson. He said, no, why do you have to come? I'm a qualified teacher. I said, yes, it is one of my duties that I have to come into your class and see how you teach. Challenges with the parents. Parents also come with their demands. They want, to bend according to what they want.
Women in all spheres still face a number of challenges. According to Minister of State for Gender and Culture, Peace Mutuzo, many evil practices still occur in most communities, noting a need for proper legislation to protect the rights of women. She said women in rural areas and city suburbs take up responsibilities that are related to both household and money making for subsistence, which she says overburdens them. In addition, women also engage in cultivation work and water fetching, both of which require long hours of walking to and from the farms or the wells.
We have not yet reached gender equality, which is our journey. In the parliament, we are now 34%, meaning that the men are 69%. In the cabinet, we are about to 43%. In the business sector, we are about to 42%. We are majoring more into agriculture. Women do not have absolute right to sell the products of even their labor. There are a lot of patriarchal systems, practices, attitudes that we need to erase out. There are a lot of cultural practices that need to subjugate women, and the environment, the terrain, the business we are managing, machinery is the major, even in employment sector, we are still at 20-something% in the employment sector.
Minister of State for Gender and Culture, Peace Mutuzo, on women issues. Fonizawa, Sarah Natolo, reporting.
Thank you, Sarah. As Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the International Women's Day, a woman in Kampala who rides a boda says she is determined to inspire other women to take up this role. Though it shocks many people seeing a female boda rider, Allen Chisache, a married woman with children, says she has gained a lot of respect from the wider community. Alex Wandeba reports.
As she accepts her job, in the beginning she says she would feel uncomfortable because of society beliefs about women getting involved in the business that is thought to be reserved for only men.
It has been favorable for me because as a woman, customers favor you so much as compared to men. You find they give you some tips, different amounts. When you've agreed a different amount, you find one is just topping up for you something, which I know is rare with men. On the side of security, we are favored in case we default. Maybe when we get into the wrong, I for one have always been favored.
Yes.
They are like, madam,
because it is a job that is generally dominated by men in Uganda, Allen Kisache, a social worker by profession, never had a dream of becoming a boda rider, but she was rather driven by circumstances.
You really see someone is keenly looking at you like he's shocked, he's surprised, like he assumes maybe there is something that you're missing out, you know, as a woman being in the boda industry. So also that one, by the way, it's a bit lowered my esteem, and I would even hide that first. I would carry my stuff in the Kavera, like I couldn't put on, especially mostly at my place of residence. My neighbors hardly got to know the kind of job I whatever I do, because you really see the community looking at you as a woman out of order.
So this job, do you do it out of passion, or you just happen to do it because of the circumstances?
No, I didn't just wake up one morning that I wanted to be a female boda rider. However, as a social worker, I'm a social worker by profession, and most of our work is field worker. So I just wanted to learn how to ride a bike, so that in case I get a job, because I used to seek for jobs and I'd ask me whether I know how to ride a motorcycle. So when I was free, I thought of starting to learn how to ride it. The only problem was that there are boda guys who taught me how to learn. So when I tested the skill, that meant starting to carry people and starting to earn. And since I was not doing anything, and it was earning me now, I started looking through as a business, maybe having it as a personal business. I'm now part of it. Now it's running to 2 years.
Okay, but we have so many women who are also not willing to take on such jobs. How can you inspire them? What do you have to tell them such that they follow through to do the same?
I've noticed something great with doing something when majority are men and you are few females in it. Like you gain a lot. Now, like the other advantages I've told you, that is the favors from the security, and just also being liked by people. You find one just from nowhere, like I've found people just sees you seated on a bike and is like, it just gives you money when you've not even offered him more high service.
Though she is happy about celebrating the Women's Day, she argues that it needs to be used to recognize mainly those women that have broken the barriers of operating unique businesses in society.
I'm happy, and at least if I see women out there that are doing things that are special, like now, like how you've recognized this. I hear some go for buses, some are in for trailers, what. Like at least it would be so great, other than at times you find they are celebrating minor activities, or maybe because of one's name, or like maybe, you know, there is what it takes, by the way, because I for one, I changed a bit. I'm not like how I was before doing this business.
It is uncommon to find female boda riders in Uganda because riding a boda is a male-dominated territory. But Alan Kisache is proud that she was able to break the glass ceiling and hopes other women can follow suit. This is Alex Wandeva reporting.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Alan Kisache, for inspiring other women. As Uganda prepares to join the rest of the world in celebrating the International Women's Day tomorrow, stakeholders in the education sector are calling upon government to sensitize women more about the day in order to amplify its significance. The call was made by Director Good Age Nursery and Primary School in Wakiso District. Mary Chakwa has more.
Compulsory early childhood education, ECE, is one of the recommendations that most education stakeholders appearing before the Education Policy Review Committee are proposing to government to consider improving the sector standards. As Ugandans prepare to commemorate the International Women's Day, we look at why most nursery schools are handled by women. One of the early childhood education teachers at Good Age Nursery and Primary School in Wakiso District, Amina Namakula, explains her experience in handling children in nursery section and why she thinks few men are teaching in nursery schools.
It's about knowing what they want, taking care of them, and handling them in a better way so that they can love their school.
You have children who are just like when they are starting baby. After 1 week, they are like, Mommy, I don't want to go back to school.
Those baby class, they need too much love over the teachers. If you don't show them much love, the next day they will say, I want to go. Yes.
How do you feel working with young children?
It's okay because that's my law.
So why is it that with most of the nursery schools we find mostly ladies who are the teachers there?
Maybe because that's what they want. Most ladies, they like being with children. Yes, that's why you find most of the schools, and when you go across in Uganda, you may find the women there many they compared to them.
The director Good Age Nursery School, Edith Karigonza, says they face the problem of inadequate trained personnel in the area of early childhood education.
I have met some challenges, more especially to these starting schools. We don't employ, most of the schools, they don't employ trained teachers because they have not got that knowledge of giving this early childhood education. And we have found that a challenge that they don't give the basic needs of for those early childhood which they should have got in their studies, education.
So for you, how do you do it here at Good Age? In case you landed on a teacher who didn't have that certificate of early childhood training.
I just get my notes and I teach her how to undergo that childhood and how to teach, how to handle them, to handle the children, and to give them the real foundation which those children must get.
Karigonza notes that much as countries across the globe celebrate Women's Day every 8th March, more sensitization needs to be done about the significance of celebrating the day.
Most of the women, they have not understood the word women. They need to be taught how it came in. It would be valued when we have understood the word Women's Day. Some of the women, in fact, they don't mind about it. They just sit on their businesses. So that one has led us not to take it as a serious day.
I interacted with some of the pupils at the school about Women's Day celebrations.
My name is Angel Olga Muksa.
Have you ever heard of Women's Day?
Yes.
What do you know about Women's Day? You don't know it, eh? How are you? What's your name?
My name is Katembe.
What do you know about Women's Day?
Women's Day is the day of women.
This year's Women's Day national celebrations will be held in Kiruhura district. I'm Mary Chakua.
Thank you, Mary. Many women think that security and guard operations are reserved assignments for men. But when contacted, the Uganda Prisons Training School Commandant Brenda Sana said, on the contrary, men and women play equal roles. Sana spoke to Henry Baguma in the build-up to tomorrow's International Women's Day.
Thank you. My name is Brenda Sana. I'm an Assistant Commissioner of Prisons, and I'm the Commandant of the Prisons Academy and Training School. Women in security?
Yes.
Yeah, it is not as challenging as people think. And it's also an honor that we are given equal opportunities with our men as long as you compete favorably. Okay. And as we know in the world, it's men and women. So even security, we need sometimes the gender angle to balance out things. Yes.
So is there any reason why you should have women as well in prison services and security in general?
Yes, it is important because there are cases, there are people who come in, we get people of both sexes, male and female. So there are some times where we have, say, female prisoners, they have special needs. So women in security have to be there to cater for the special needs of women, plus also to show that we can do the work that the men do. For example, I'm not in a female wing, I'm in the training school, which has both men and women. So just to show the world that we too can do the job, just like the men.
Do you have special consideration, for example, when you're recruiting staff, you say this is a lady, this is a woman, this is a man, I don't know. Do you have a special entry points for women?
Now, the government as a whole has a 1/3 in government affirmative action. In deployments, women have to be 1/3. However, for Uganda Prison Service, we recruit women according to the number of prisoners we have. So nationally, the number of prisoners are very few compared to the men. Men could be almost 95%. There are very few female prisoners. So we also recruit women in line with the percentage of female prisoners that we have.
Okay.
Yes, but we aim at the 30%.
What's the special assignment women have in Uganda Prison Services, for example, Madam?
Women may not have a special assignment because, as I said, the work I'm doing, even men do it. Only that in women prisons which keep female prisoners, it is only women who work there. So for that one, the assignment for women is only in female prisoners. But even in other areas, like, for example, Kampala Extra Region, the regional commander is a woman. And there are also other women in different positions.
Final message people listen to you right now, women in particular across the country, as we celebrate International Women's Day.
First of all, I would like to congratulate all of you upon reaching the International Women's Day. Please take it seriously.
Prisons Commandant Brenda Sana talking to Henry Waguma about women in security. Now let's take a break. We'll be back in a bit.
The Uganda Water and Environment Week is back. Join us as we deliver value internally and externally by promoting a multinational integrated approach that links all sectors of water and environment and also explore and deliberate on the water and environment resources to climate resilience. The week commemorates 3 sector days of World Water Day, World Forestry Day, and World Meteorological Day. The Uganda Water and Environment Week will take place from 12th to 17th March 2023 at the Ministry of Water and Environment headquarters in Luzira under the theme Water and Environment for Climate Resilient Development.
Uganda Water and Environment Week is organized by Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water Resources Institute with support from development partners.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to UBC Radio. This is News with me, Juliet Naiga. Now let's go to Parliament. The introduction of the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023 in Parliament has hit a snag after failure by the Bugiri Municipality Member of Parliament, Asmani Basalirwa, to secure a certificate of financial implication from the Minister of Finance, Matia Kasaija. Basalirwa was scheduled to move a private member's bill this afternoon, but this was not possible. Anna Kajumba was in Parliament and now reports.
Municipality Member of Parliament Asman Basalirwa was today afternoon ready to table the anti-homosexuality bill on the floor of Parliament for the first reading. This did not take place because the Minister for Finance, Matia Kasaija, was not present in the House to provide the certificate of financial implication to Basalirwa to go ahead and table the bill. This angered Basalirwa, who asked the government to be committed to supporting the bill.
And I want to thank the House for the overwhelming support that was given when the motion was moved. Madam Speaker, the issue of the certificate of financial implication, I think we must go on record as you have guided. The front bench of government must take a stand on this matter and come out clearly. Are they willing and ready to avail the certificate or not? They must take a stand. Otherwise, if they don't take a stand, then an impression will be created that all of us here are condoning homosexuality. Whereas not. Madam Speaker, I know the pressure that colleagues are going through from the constituents. This is a national matter. It's really beyond Parliament. Now, moving forward, we should begin a campaign, Madam Speaker, where we shall be putting a book there and we sign those against homosexuality so that the country knows that we are really against this vice, this moral wrong.
The government chief whip, Hamson Obua, informed the House that Matia Kasaija was in State House for the meeting with the President and the State Minister for Investment, Evelyn Anita, was to represent him.
I am duly informed that is the Minister of State in charge of investment, the Honorable Anita Evelyn, who will be holding brief for the Senior Minister. I also called her. She indicated to me that she is on her way. But that said, Right Honorable Speaker, may I say this? As far as I am aware, the request for a certificate of financial implication was made on Friday. And the law, both the Public Finance Management Act and the rules of procedure, give the minister within 60 days. Absolutely. Honorable members, it may be urgent, but the minister is still protected by the law passed by this parliament. That he has 60 days.
Honorable Government Chief Whip, the inefficiency should not be a defense. What is wrong with giving this parliament a certificate? We are talking about issues of between life and death. Our children are being sodomized at school. Assuming it is your kid today who is being done like that.
Evelyn Anita later informed the House that his boss will present the certificate of financial implication on Thursday, 10th March 2023.
Thank you very, very much, Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues. Right Honorable Speaker, the matter that we are discussing is indeed a very important matter. And as you have said, I am not married to Anita. I am married to Alan Kajik, my darling husband, with whom we have produced babies, and we use the right address at all times. Honorable Speaker, as for the certificate, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Machaka Saija, has asked me to come and inform the House that he would be with a certificate of financial implication on anti-homosexuality bill on Thursday.
The Minister of Ethics and Integrity, Akelo Rose Lily, also told the Parliament that she personally does not support marriage of the same-sex partners and thanked the Speaker and her deputy for bringing back the anti-homosexuality bill in the House. The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, granted leave to the Budiri legislator Asman Basalirwa to go and prepare the bill and report back to Parliament after 45 days, but the 45 days did not elapse due to the urgency of the matter. Reporting for News Hour, I'm Anna Kajumba.
Thank you, Anna Kajumba. In the gear up to celebrate the 19th anniversary of the Afro-Arab Youth Council Inspiration and Mentorship Talks are to be held tomorrow on Women's Day, aimed at improving women emancipation in Uganda. The talks will be followed by donation of sanitary pads to promote menstrual hygiene among young girls, as well as tree planting activities to promote environmental protection. Fahim Wingo reports.
The Afro-Arab Youth Council is carrying out activities around Uganda to mark their 19th anniversary celebrations. According to Kabuye Fatogabye, the Minister of State for Kampala Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs, several activities which started on 3rd March are already ongoing till 10th March so as to mark this historical day.
You may recall that the Afro-Arab Youth Council is housed or domiciled in the office of the President since 2019. And His Excellency General Yoweri Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, is the patron of this organization. And since then, he has been offering strategic leadership to assist this organization stabilize, having suffered immense setbacks as a result of the 2010-2012 civil uprisings that swept through many of its member states. Remember, we are talking of the Afro-Arab. So the member states now, you can know, they are drawn from Africa and Arabs under that organization or umbrella.
Part of these activities, which have already been concluded, include a health run which was conducted in Toro and brought together different delegates from Libya, Morocco, Egypt, Nigeria, and Sudan.
Now, with our local partners of the Makerere University Red Cross Association, whom we've worked closely with at the Health Land, which was concluded yesterday. And it attracted a lot of participants and prizes were won. Kampala International University, with whom we are partnering for the dialogue, which is scheduled for 9th March at the university, Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Gender as the Youth Line Ministry. The rest of the delegates are from Iraq, Tunisia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, South Africa, Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of Congo, France, and Germany. Those have been earlier on and were supposed to be at the health camp and the medical camp. As you recall, we told you we shall have major activities, including the medical camp, but for now it was called off or suspended temporarily to allow time to satisfy and to meet all government protocols.
Regarding the celebrations, the minister noted that all activities tomorrow are scheduled to take place at Mpoma Girls School along Kayunga Road, ending with a dialogue on youth issues on 9th March at Kampala International University.
So tomorrow, on the International Women's Day, the Afro-Arab team shall be at Mpoma Girls School along Kayunga Road, where they will conduct an inspiration and mentorship talks with the girls on the need for education in order to achieve women emancipation. They also distribute reusable sanitary pads to promote menstrual hygiene among young girls, and shall have a tree planting exercise for purposes of environment around the school in promotion of the environmental protection and food and nutrition, since environment cannot be divorced from health and wealth of a nation.
The Afro-Arab Youth Council was founded following a resolution passed at the conclusion of the International Youth Festival for the African and Arab Youth in Khartoum on March 9, 2004. It represents the aspirations of the youth in Africa and the Arab world. Fahim Muyingo, reporting for UBC News Hour.
Thank you, Fahim. A delegation from the Burundian government is in the country to persuade their citizens to return home. Currently, there are about 29,000 Burundian refugees living in Uganda, and the Burundian government wants to see these people voluntarily return home. The Burundian delegation was meeting Esther Anyakun, the Minister of State for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, plus other officials from the Office of the Prime Minister here in Kampala. Diano Reng-Peters reports.
Delegation of Burundian government officials, led by Burundi's Permanent Secretary of Internal Affairs, Mbarushimana Kalnil, says their country is now safe and are appealing to the Ugandan government to help them persuade their people return home. Esther Anyakun, the Minister of State for Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, says the Ugandan government has already embarked on repatriating some of the refugees to their home countries. Anyakun notes that voluntary repatriation of refugees is necessary because it creates space for other incoming refugees.
So far we have repatriated around 11,000 back to their country, and we still have more. So they've come to meet so that they should be able to persuade them to be able to repatriate the Burundians back home. And this is what the government of Uganda is encouraging also all the rest of the countries who are hosting their refugees in our country. Voluntary repatriation is the best, so that people can be reunited together with their families. It's because we are anticipating more refugees to come from DRC, Congo, and also probably South Sudan. We create more space because we need to create more space for resettling others.
The minister has also revealed that due to the ongoing war in Ukraine, funding towards refugee hosting communities has been dwindling.
The government of Uganda does not receive any funding directly from the international community. All the resources that are being received for refugees is taken straight away to UNHCR. Let me just make it this way. We are only lucky as Uganda that refugee policy allows them to sustain themselves from within where we settle them. They have a small garden, so they're able to have some small food, kitchen gardens around their homes. But now what gives us pressure is like when WFP is not able to give a food ration to the refugees. So that kind of pressure comes back to us.
Enid Ocheng, the senior protection officer at the UN Refugee Agency, acknowledges the overwhelming number of refugees in Uganda, adding that they will continue to support efforts geared towards repatriating refugees to their home countries.
And for the progressive refugee policy that is being implemented in Uganda, Uganda continues to receive a large number of refugees, and as we speak right now, Uganda is hosting over 1.5 million refugees. And Burundian refugees, if you look at the population, constitute 3% of the total population. That's about 45,600. As UNHCR, we are committed to continue to support the government of Uganda And in the context of solutions, we continue to facilitate the voluntary repatriation of refugees.
According to the Minister of Relief, Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Hilary Onek, Uganda needs about 1.7 trillion shillings annually to cater for refugees living in the country. Uganda is the largest refugee hosting country in Africa and the third in the world with over 1.5 million refugees. With the country facing funding challenges to cater for these refugees, voluntary repatriation is seen as the only way to solve the refugee crisis. Reporting for News Hour, I'm Diano Olwen-Peters.
Thank you, Diano Rain. Old students of Kira College Butiki have rejected a newly posted head teacher and Apami Primary School in Alebtong District is to get a facelift. Here is Catherine Nambi with the details in our Daily Upcountry News Wrap.
From Eastern Uganda, Kira College Butiki Old Boys Association has rejected the newly posted head teacher, Paul Mwogeza, on grounds that he is not an old boy of the school and therefore lacks the passion to run it. Mwogeza took over the school on March 1st, following the retirement of Michael Kisami. In a statement, Kira College Butiki Old Boys Association says that Mwogeza lacks knowledge about the history and culture of the school, which is key in safeguarding its legacy. Led by their chairperson, Dr. Agre Batesachi, the association members told journalists in Jinja City that they have petitioned both the Ministry of Education and Sports and the founding body, Busoga Kingdom, to reverse the decision in vain. Dr. Batesachi notes that they submitted 4 names of suitable nominees to the Education Ministry and Busoga Kingdom for consideration, but their list was trashed, which he says undermines the role of the old student body to ensure the smooth operations of the school. Batesachi argues that the school has in the past registered moral decadence, with increasing cases of drug abuse resulting from the reluctance of outsourced school heads who lack the passion to preserve the posterity of the school. He further claims that Mwogeza lacks the experience of managing a traditional school at the magnitude of Butiki, and assigning him this uphill task will affect their past gains.
This gentleman is not an old boy of the school, and therefore he doesn't have the institutional memory for which would help him to steer the school ahead. The gentleman doesn't have any track record of good performance where he has been. And we are saying that Kira College is not a training ground for head teachers. Kira College is a school that needs someone who is established in management and administration to be able to steer it to the level where we want it to be.
Both the Education Ministry and Busoga Kingdom are yet to react to the demands of the old students. Mwogeza told journalists that those opposed to his posting are driven by selfish reasons, which he says he is yet to establish. He accuses some members of the Old Boys Association of infiltrating continuing students' leadership bodies and inciting them to organize peaceful demonstrations against him, but he is closely monitoring the situation to avoid chaos.
I went to school and I reported. I was received by the board. I'm only waiting for instruments of power. So please, muide tukole emirimu. Nze mbalinze kondeta munkobere byomwana, and then we'll begin from there. So nze in my experience, it's yendi okubona nti tutambula n'abantu bano, okubona nti tutambuza isomero bulungi, and above the head teacher there is board of governors representing a ministry. But nga wembakobere nti on record, you can prove me right. Nze zina wembaire ndibakoba nti I have not worked.
And from Alebtong district, Apami Primary School that once produced many vibrant leaders, including the government chief whip, who is also the Ajuri County MP, is in a sorry state and being abandoned by pupils. The school, which had an enrollment of over 1,000 pupils, now has only 360 learners. Learners are either shifting to other schools or dropping out of school altogether. Located in Abako, Ajuri County in Alebtong district, the school is characterized by cracked classroom walls and potholed floors, with some classrooms dominated by anthills, leaving learners with no space to sit. Desks broken into pieces are lying around the compound. However, through the area MP, Dennis Hamson Obua, Toro Cement Limited is set to renovate the entire school within 6 months as part of their corporate social responsibility. The renovation will include new flooring, new roofing, plastering both inside and outside the walls, and fixing both doors and windows. They will also renovate the Apami Nursery School and the nearby Church of Uganda. Obua, a former pupil, described the school as the foundation of his leadership. Despite its being in the rural status, he believes that when renovated, children of the area will get a chance to study in a better school.
I am happy that the children who will study under the refurbished Apami will have the opportunity to go through an environment where they can learn. The time I studied here in 1987 for 3 years, all structures had grass, including the church where I was baptized. I am happy that we have permanent structures, but they are dilapidated. And Tororo Cement is coming to do a facelift to make it better for the young generation, such that in future more of the obuas can be produced by Apami Primary School.
He also encouraged learners to focus on studying rather than the location of the school, saying if given equal opportunities, learners can excel from anywhere. Charles Okello, the head teacher of the school, blamed the high rate of absenteeism among pupils and poor performance on the dilapidated status of the school. He believes that the facelift will reduce absenteeism and increase the school enrollment. During the rehabilitation period, learners will be using the tents.
We have 13 classes, but the number of children are low. Some of the classes are empty, but pupils are there at home. They're not coming to school. I can see a small improvement being done because last year we had 232 pupils, but this time we have opened the term with about 400. But we are thinking after the completion of this project, the parents and the learners, they'll get attracted to this. This change will create a lot of change to the life of the people here. I'm expecting more and more children to come.
The head teacher also cited inadequate staff accommodation as another challenge, which is affecting learning at the school. Those are some of the stories from selected districts across the country. For News Hour, I am Catherine Nambi.
Now let's have foreign news by Kathy Ishimwe.
In foreign news, rolling blackouts in South Africa are largely responsible for the country's gross domestic product shrinking more than expected, analysts say. Official data shows a drop of 1.4% between October and December instead of the 0.4% predicted. The impact of the power outages was bound to have a knock-on effect on the economy. Only 2 days of the period from October to December were without power cuts. Businesses have been paralyzed by the disruptions and have seen production costs rise as they have to purchase contingency power. 7 of South Africa's 10 industries experienced a decline in the last 3 months of 2022. The agriculture and mining industries were biggest victims, both contracting by over 3%. Overall, the South African economy grew by 2% in 2022, but is still well below the 5 to 6% target band that economists say will make a dent in the country's 33% unemployment rate. A new law set to go before Parliament later will introduce new measures aimed at removing migrants entering the UK on small boats. The illegal migration bill is set to prevent those arriving illegally from claiming asylum and will block them from returning or seeking citizenship. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said it was fair for those at the home and those who have a legitimate claim to the asylum. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has described the plans as unworkable. Home Secretary Suella Braverman said the bill would push the boundaries of international law without breaking it, telling the Express the measures were needed to solve this crisis.
Thank you, Ishimwe Kathy, for the foreign news. Now, JK Lady Dolphins post their camp with 3 players. Uganda to host the UEFA President next week. And UEFA Champions League returns to action this evening. Details in the sports update by Bosa Ibrahim.
This is Sports Update.
Thank you. In local sports,
last season's Women National Basketball League runners-up, JKL Lady Dolphins have captured 3 players ahead of the 2023 season. Amongst these is small forward Agatha Kamwada from UCU Lady Cannons, Letitia Awol and Becky Longom, both from KCCA Leopards. The trio was part of the Gazelles provisional squad. However, Letitia Awol made the final squad in the recent concluded Zone 5 Women Afro-Basket qualifiers at M10 Arena in Lugogo. She averaged 7 points and 4 rebounds last season for the Leopards. Kamwada was instrumental last season with the title-winning UCU Lady Cannons, helping the Mukono side to overcome JKL Lady Dolphins. In the other news, on Tuesday, the 14th of March 2023, the Union of European Football Association President Alexander Seferin and Secretary General Az Kluza will officially set foot on Uganda soil for the very first time. The primary purpose for their coming to Uganda is to visit the Aliguma Foundation and check the progress of the Acholi Quarters project. The Aliguma Foundation was first-time recipients of the UEFA Foundation for Children grant as part of the 65 humanitarian projects around the world worth 19 billion shillings. On their last day of the visit, the duo will meet the First Lady as well as Minister of Education and Sports, Janet Kataham Seveni, before flying back. On the international scene, a couple of 2 games will be played in the UEFA Champions League round of 16 return legs. Chelsea will host Borussia Dortmund for the first time ever in a competitive game at Stamford Bridge at 11 p.m. local time. History looks to be on Chelsea's side despite a 1-0 defeat in a reverse fixture at Signal Iduna Park. Dortmund has a poor record away in England in the competitions, having lost their last 5 Champions League games against Premier League clubs. They last won against Arsenal in October 2013 in a 2-1 goal thriller. That's all we had for you in the sports updates. I'm Bossa Ibrahim.
Sports update.
Thank you, Bossa. It is 1 minute past 9 o'clock. Thank you very much for tuning to UBC Radio. Tomorrow we shall be observing the Women International Day. So news will be focusing on Women's Day, and the function will be relayed live on all UBC channels. For now, it is Juliet Naiga together with Henry Baguma and Alex Wandeva wishing you a blessed night. Bye-bye.
Join us again for News Hour, broadcasting on weekdays, 8 p.m. on the UBC Radio Network. UBC, inspiring Uganda.